which kind of leads me to another question that was posed. I'll jump around a little bit, but another question we were going to tackle today was what classes or experiences were most helpful for you outside of your major in school? So things, yeah, maybe a DFA project, or just the fact that DFA was, addressing something that your major wasn't, or maybe if it wasn't DFA, maybe it was like an alternative spring break that was really great or something.
Anybody? Okay. I really enjoyed my philosophy class. I took a philosophy class that was really intense and was probably one of the most difficult things that I've ever done before. But there's an element of philosophy that I think is relevant to pretty much like any type of like work in which you have to convince someone of like a concept of or of an idea. So there's like a lot of like logical like arguments to make for like arguing for and against like a feature or a concept, or even in the process of storytelling, how telling your client how you got to a certain insight or how you got to a certain design decision. A lot of that comes from logical reasoning, and like bringing someone along with your reasoning process is really important. So I think that was definitely super valuable. And then other than that, I think there are a lot of fringe classes that are super handy, like about like basic concepts of like the standard bell curve and like thinking about standard deviations, like toward and away from what you're hoping to observe. Classes related to human behavior are really fascinating, like anything related to behavioral economics or psychology or sociology, things that help you better understand your users, and like people in general are really great tools to have in your toolkit.
Yeah, I'll pile onto that. Excuse me. I think the most helpful class I took in terms of design as problem solving and business school overall was a strategy class taught by a really beloved professor at Case Western who is nicknamed Gorilla. And he uses the case method, which, if you're not familiar with that, it basically means that you present a business scenario that has missing information. And as the students in the class, you are acting as strategy consultants. And so you have to formulate the right questions that will extract the data that you need in order to develop a direction and, a decision to be made about what the strategy should be going forward. And so the reason, it's a very real-world business situation, but, regardless of whatever your career is, we all come at decision-making crossroads with imperfect information. So was a really good training about not only like kind of logic and reasoning to learn how to like frame questions and compare kind of magnitude and scope, but also in gaining information from anybody that you're interacting with, whether they're coworkers or your boss or your client. It's a lot about the human behavior of developing a relationship with that person. So it was this very like right brain, left brain exercise in, and even in DFA when we're interviewing users, the inputs from those interviews are only going to be as good as that interviewer. Yeah, it was really great for me and hit a lot of elements that I use every day.
So my answer for the classes that are most helpful, it's actually going to be so broad. I think all of them that I took outside my major are really useful, and I'm gonna say that as I entered Cornell as a human development major and not a design major, and so I took a lot of courses on how children develop, how bonds between humans develop, and just all of these weird tidbits and facts that now like they sort of come up. It comes up a lot more often than I thought it would, but it's just always nice to have a little bit of background information on anything that's as irrelevant as it seems like it might be, because I'm gonna be very DFA and say that I think any information helps build empathy. Whoa. but really, I think taking like human bonding course was actually really, really interesting. But I don't know how like helpful that was in my career. And I can't even think of any like applicable situations where it came up and a client was like, man, how long does it take for a relationship between two like heterosexual beings to form? I'm like, oh, I know that. But yeah, I'm sorry, that was probably a poor.
No, that's really great. It was almost like we were I was chatting before, and we were talking about like putting yourself in the position to be lucky and kind of what skills and experiences you need. And I feel like that's kind of, I like that mindset. It's like whatever I'm doing, I can take and learn from.
Yeah, totally. I had another thing to add on. I think a lot of people who do Design for America are non-designers who are really passionate about human-centered design. But I think there's an element of hard skills that is really necessary to being a good designer. So any type of typography, like graphic design courses that you can take that help you understand information visualization or like creating information hierarchy, I think that's super valuable. And if you can take any types of like interaction design or product design, something that will like give you a couple steps above like basic like styrofoam cupping is like super valuable.
Yeah, great point. And I know a lot of DFA studios are thinking about or are trying to do hard skills workshops, and I think that's just a good
Awesome.
a good kind of push for those. Awesome.